www.usaging.org.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Ooh, boy. Did Todd Bates just lock up KREF Recruiter of the Month? Grayson Singleton?
Yeah, I think he's going to win this one going away.
Todd Bates is on the board for the second time in the month of August. Todd Bates in Oklahoma last night landed a long-anticipated commitment from three-star defensive lineman T-Ron Richardson out of Hopewell, Virginia. Three-star U. Yep, there you go. Another three-star pickup for the Sooners. 6'3", 295. Had offers from Auburn, from Florida, from Georgia, from Syracuse, from Virginia Tech, Penn State, Maryland. But when the smoke cleared, and it has all cleared at this point, Oklahoma is the choice for T-Ron Richardson. He becomes the third defensive tackle pledge of the cycle for the Sooners, joining fellow three-stars Brian Harris and Tank Carrington. Three-star U! Yep. That's what it is in this cycle for Bates. But for those that bother to watch the tape and are mindful of the caliber of football player Oklahoma's getting in not only T-Ron Richardson, but Brian Harris and Tank Carrington as well, Grayson, I would go so far as to say that I have not seen a class at a position group entirely composed of three stars that is as exciting as this defensive line group for Oklahoma in the 2026 cycle. Now, all three of these guys, it's not like they're obscure dudes, right? Brian Harris had huge offers, many of them. Tank Carrington had huge offers, many of them. The same is true for T-Ron Richardson. Some of the premier football programs in the country wanted these three dudes, all of whom rank amongst the top 600 nationally, regardless of position. So these are still premier players, even though they may be categorized right now as three stars. But there is a lot to like about this haul for OU.
You know what annoys me about the whole three-star U nonsense? Is that you have to keep in mind supply and demand. There's only 32 5-stars.
Yep.
There's a little bit more 4-stars, but there is a host of 3-stars. The whole system and our whole way of evaluating this is completely broken. And I'm glad that you bring up the offer sheets of all these dudes. Mm-hmm. Because it's not as if Oklahoma went out into the wilderness and found some stuff that nobody else wanted and said, we can make something out of that. This isn't them trying to make sugar out of you know what. This is prime talent here. And if you turn on the film of Brian Harris, and you turn on the film of Tank Carrington, and you turn on the film of T-Ron Richardson, that's what you see. You see three dudes who could have the possibility, get this, Parker, Brian Harris has the ability to kick out to defensive end. What if 3 years from now, your starting defensive ends are Brian Harris and Jake Krell. Your starting defensive tackles are T-Ron Richardson and Tank Carrington, and Daniel Norman's over here playing rotational snaps.
I'll tell you, man.
That's my whole point. So this whole three-star U moniker is so overblown. It not only is overblown, it's borderline dumb. Because these are some really good football players, and that's going to be a really good front four in a couple of years if you're able to keep them all together.
Daniel Norman is one of my absolute favorite football players in this entire class for Oklahoma. I think that dude's going to be a monster.
I know you do.
At the next level. Love his game. Absolutely love it. But look, folks, like this is just kind of the nature of the beast. Recruiting is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Because it takes more. Here's the thing. Not only is the ranking not going to tell you the whole story, but the offer sheet won't tell you the whole story either. There's a laundry list of dudes that had offers from Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and Oregon and Oklahoma and Texas and pick Notre Dame, take your pick. Any of the top football programs in the country. There are these guys every single year that have schools like that all over their offer sheets, and they don't end up amounting to anything at the collegiate level because the recruiting aspect of talent acquisition is only the preliminary. It's only the very first piece to the puzzle. You have to then go and develop the talent that you do obtain. And that's where coaching comes into play. And that's why, for instance, there may be coaches who may not be regarded across the Oklahoma fan base or across the country as elite recruiters, but there's no question they get the best out of their guys. And that's not only true at Oklahoma, that's true of anywhere else, right? There are certain coaches where it doesn't really matter the caliber of recruit that they land, at least in terms of where they're ranked nationally by external evaluators. You know that when those guys get the chance to get in the meeting rooms and get out on the practice field and get molded by their position coach, whoever he may be, they're going to turn into the best version of themselves. Now that takes buy-in on the part of the player as well. Going back to Brent Venables' press conference yesterday, you got to have guys that are living right off the field. You got to have guys that are mindful of the complete picture, that aren't just coasting on talent alone. You have to have guys that are completely bought in, not just to playing football, but to embracing the holistic process of development as a student athlete. That's where you have something special. And so Oklahoma, with the addition of T-Ron Richardson, they move up back into the top 20 nationally according to the Rivals rankings. They have the number 20 class in the nation as of right now with 18 commits. As I look at this class, and I took about 30, 45 minutes this morning, Grayson, just to take a deep dive on all the guys in this class and observe some introspection as to how I legitimately feel about some of these guys, how I genuinely feel about some of these football players and what they can be at the next level. And I think there's a lot of parallels right now to the 2025 class for Oklahoma, the group that they just signed a year ago. All the guys that are now true freshmen, Michael Fasusi, Cortland Guillory, Ryan Foje, etc. It's not a huge class in terms of quantity. But the dudes that Oklahoma does have locked in this 26 cycle, a lot of them are ball players, man. Serious ball players. Noah Best, Deacon Schmidt. Yeah, Oklahoma's offensive line class right now consists of only those two dudes. They're both going to be excellent college football players. I'm comfortable making that prognostication right now. Bo Bentley, man, he's got the chance to play for a fifth star this fall, down at Salina High School in Texas. You get a guy like Daniel Norman, who's a 3-star, a guy like Brian Harris, who's a 3-star. The Jandro brothers are 3 stars. Pop on the tape. You come to realize, okay, regardless of what the ratings say, these 4 guys can play serious ball. And they're going to be serious players at the next level, unless the injury bug gets in the way or something else derails them. Like, for instance, you go back a couple of years with Devon Mitchell. Who could have imagined that Devon Mitchell's career at Oklahoma would play out the way that it did? Because you just can't account for that in the recruiting process. Right? Yeah, you can't account for a kid just displaying absolutely no traits whatsoever at the high school level that would lead you to believe he's not going to be bought in whatsoever to the process that you've laid out for him but then he gets to campus and it's just a debacle.
But to that point, and I'm glad you brought up Devon Mitchell, here's what's interesting about Oklahoma on the defensive line having 5 guys committed. Maybe there's 6.
There are 6.
There's 6. The fact that you bring up Devon Mitchell also brings in a very interesting factor into all of this, and that's that you're not going to bat 1,000. Last year's case, Jackson Arnold. Okay, so you're not going to hit on it every single one, and then with the fact that you've got transfer portals now, somebody's going to leave. Generally, that's just become the mathematical rule of thumb. So the fact that you have so many at that one position, I know it's not a big class in its totality, but the fact that you have so many gives you some margin to be able to offset if something unforeseen were to happen. Because you're just not going to hit on every single person. That's not how sports works.
Recruiting Boomer says, gee, there are 32 5-stars and 300 to 330 4-stars. That's a lot more than a little bit.
My point still stands.
It does. Well, and like if you want to break it out numerically, for instance, let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that there are only 25 college football programs in the country, and there are obviously more in actuality, but let's just say there are only 25 college football programs in the country with the capacity to go and sign blue-chip talent. Only 25 programs in the country that blue-chip recruits want to play for.
Yeah.
If you break it down, 300 to 334 stars plus 32 5-stars, each of those 25 programs are ending up with 13, 14-ish blue-chip players.
Yeah.
So almost half your class at that point.
And now, because of the money factor, too, and the availability of resources, that number that blue chippers will want to play for has expanded.
Bingo. So at least a third, probably closer to half of your class, is coming from the 3-star ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to go find good football players that the rest of the nation is sleeping on. And again, I'm not even really sure whether Brian Harris, for instance, is a guy that's getting slept on.
No.
Because, okay, he's got 3 stars. So I guarantee you, and these guys care, they do. I don't want to make it seem like they don't care. They care where they get ranked. They like seeing a 4th star next to their name or a 5th star next to their name. But if given the choice between having some arbitrary ranking from an evaluator at whatever company versus having 30-plus scholarship offers to go play college football at some of the best institutions in the country, they're choosing the latter every time.
405-651-3439 on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. A texter in the 405 said, "It's a bad day when a poke is calling you out on your BS. Y'all do better." A listener to the 732. That's New Jersey. Hello.
Oh boy. This is
okay.
This is a manifesto here.
Yeah. Listening to you two try and spin and justify this class is what losers and poors do to make themselves feel better. Let's go.
Losers and poors. Okay.
Just be honest with yourselves and the fans. 17th and 20th ranked classes aren't going to get it done in the SEC. Great, you might find a diamond in the rough here and there, but you can't build your program on that. Go look at the top contenders in their classes. You can either be honest or lie to yourselves, but in the end of the day, reality is reality. May I introduce you to 2022 Texas A&M?
You may.
I rest my case.
And not only that, but look, and I'm going to be as blunt as possible here. No offense to you, New Jersey listener. That's an uninformed take. And that's generally the type of take that you get from people who haven't actually done their homework on the players that are part of a given recruiting class.
Mm-hmm.
They're just saying, well, this class is ranked 20th. Clearly it's not good enough. Watch the tape and get back to me. If you want to come back to these airwaves tomorrow and you've watched tape on all 18 players that Oklahoma has committed and you want to poke holes in their game and you want to give educated, well-informed opinions as to why you don't think those guys are going to pan out at the University of Oklahoma or why they're not capable of being worth the scholarship at a place like the University of Oklahoma, I will respect your opinion. We don't have to agree on everything, but I will respect your opinion. If you can come to the table with facts and rhetoric and data, we can have the back and forth all day long, and we may not come to terms at the end of it, but we can walk away knowing that the other has at the very least done his homework, as opposed to just simply spouting off takes based on largely arbitrary ratings.
And I'll say this. This goes back to the debate between analytics and manalytics. Are you going to let the computers dictate everything, or are you going to actually look at the dudes themselves and look at the people around them who are going to be trying to develop them?
Mm-hmm. Well, and, I say largely arbitrary, and
it's not
arbitrary in the sense that, like, they're just tossing ratings onto these guys, but, like, practically speaking, and any evaluator will tell you this, practically speaking, the difference between, let's say, the number 300 player in the country who is a mid-tier 4-star versus the number 500 player in the country who is a high-grade 3-star is quite negligible. There's not much of a discrepancy there. And so at a certain point, you're just splitting hairs. If you look at Oklahoma's class right now, the two guys with the exception of Trace Rudd, Oklahoma's kicker commit, if you look at Oklahoma's 2026 class, there are two players that are ranked substantially lower than the rest of the crowd. It's the Jandro brothers. The Jandro brothers are the lowest ranked commits in Oklahoma's class. Bo is ranked number 963 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Jandro is ranked number 1,216 in the country. No other commit in Oklahoma's class is outside the top 700 nationally, regardless of position. And again, in addressing the Jandro brothers specifically, I would encourage you, if you haven't already, go watch those dudes' tape and try to convince yourselves that there are 1,000 high school football players in the country better than those two.
Let me get to this one before we get to break here. 832 Mike says, Grayson, your take on Texas A&M as an example is stupid. One team doesn't
All right.
One team doesn't make a good case, especially when that was a ton of 5 stars that only went there for money. You missed the point. The point there is that you cannot just look at the raw numbers and the raw rankings and make your case as to how that's going to translate to championship contention. We all thought by now Texas A&M, because of that high vaunted recruiting class, was going to be in the championship picture. They have been nowhere close.
Mm-hmm.
The inverse can be true, is that you can look at a class that's in the bottom of the top 20, which, I mean, that's kind of an oxymoron, bottom of the top 20, and say, well, they could get themselves under the coaching, under the culture, to the championship picture. It's all about the men that are involved, and I guess women to some degree too as well. It's all about the people that are involved, not the number that a calculation has given you. That's the overall point.
832 Mike says, then why even rate players if it doesn't matter?
Because it's fun.
Yes, it's fun. It also gives a certain frame of reference, perhaps to an extent an inaccurate one, to the casual listener as to what caliber of player the football. But, I think there's a connotation, and the connotation has become 3 stars aren't any good. When in reality, it's the exact opposite. 3 stars are actually very good football players.
The people who aren't – I feel like people view 3 stars as your dude that played high school football and was really good but wasn't going to be able to crack it at D1. I feel like that's how people are viewing the term 3. You know what I'm putting down here?
Yes, exactly.
Like, I feel like that's how people are viewing 3-star. 3 stars are very damn good athletes and very damn good players, man.
Yes, they are. Well, and here's the thing, 832 Mike, to close the loop on answering your question there. It does matter because you do have to have blue chip talent, and this is backed up by such metrics as the blue chip ratio.
The blue chip ratio,
right?
that we talked about like a month ago.
No program in the 21st century has won a national title with a blue chip ratio south of 60%, which is to say every single championship team of the 21st century, or I should say of the modern recruiting era, the internet recruiting era, has had at least 60% 4 and 5 star athletes on their roster, 4 and 5 star recruits. By the way, spoiler alert, Oklahoma's blue chip ratio in 2025, well north of 60%.
Correct.
So it's not as if Brent Venables and his staff have completely abdicated the responsibility of going and landing elite talent. But also, acquiring the talent is only half the battle, because then your coaches have to develop the athletes that you do sign. And I brought up a very good example a few days ago. The example of Heath Ozida, who was a backup plan for Oklahoma. Plan A was Peyton Kirkland. And when Oklahoma decided, screw it, we're not going to play this game with Peyton Kirkland anymore, they went and offered Heath Ozida, and he committed, and they signed him in the class. At the time, it was widely panned amongst Oklahoma fans. They hated Heath Ozida, and they didn't hate Heath Ozida personally. They hated the fact that he was the 3-star that all of a sudden Oklahoma was pivoting to instead of signing the blue chipper in Peyton Kirkland that ostensibly they led for quite some time. But what has happened since? One guy has been developed.
Mm-hmm.
One guy has bounced around to 4 different programs in 3 years. Heath Ozida has been developed at the University of Oklahoma. Heath Ozida is in position to start at left guard as a redshirt sophomore come week 1 of the season this Saturday at Oklahoma. Peyton Kirkland has yet to play a collegiate snap as he has bounced from Texas to Colorado to UAB to Miami. So,
Of Ohio.
yes, Miami of Ohio, I should clarify. Thank you. So, it's not just about acquiring the talent. It's also about developing it.
It's about the people.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. T-Ron Richardson is on board for the Sooners. What's next? Well, the Sooners have a couple of official visitors that'll be coming to town for the Auburn game, and they're going to have a very, very good chance to lock them in to the 2026 class in Norman. We'll discuss that and more ahead here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it here.
Here in Oklahoma, community is everything. It's where we raise our families, support our neighbors, and help each other through life's toughest moments. At McIntyre Law, we are proud Oklahomans. For us, it's not about just practicing law, it's about giving back.
From taking care of families in need to supporting Oklahomans to encouraging our youngest Oklahomans, we're committed to making our community stronger. Call McIntyre Law at 405-777-7000. Caring for our clients isn't just our job, it's who we are.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like
Bret Michaels, September 27th. Collective Soul, October 17th. And the Oak Ridge Boys, November 28th.
Above.
Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
Buying and selling a house or property can be overwhelming and stressful. At ROI Real Estate, Isaac Christian and his team make it easy and stress-free. With their 25 years of experience, ROI is capable of handling all things real estate. Whether it be commercial, industrial, multifamily, residential, or raw land, ROI Real Estate can help. They even specialize in office sales and leasing. Don't wait. Let ROI Real Estate make selling or buying residential or commercial property easy for you. ROI Real Estate, 405-358-3311, or visit ROIRE.com.
Are you looking for the newest restaurant in Norman? The Local on Main Street is now open. The Local features delicious Okie cuisine like the famous local salad, mouth-watering pork chops, or the Okie burger, plus fantastic drink specials throughout the week. You can also enjoy brunch on Sundays starting at 10 a.m. Local has 3 locations, Yukon, Mustang, and the newest one at 110 West Main in Norman, or visit thelocalrestaurant.com. That's The Local, L-O-K-A-L.
Want to have fun and support a great cause? Well, dust off your boots for Big Brothers Big Sisters inaugural Nashville fundraiser. Join us for the best bites from around town, good drinks, and the sounds of Nashville. All the fun happens on September 12th at Embassy Suites in Norman. To be a Nashville sponsor, buy tickets, or make a donation, visit normangala.org. We hope to see you in your country chic attire for tasty eats and cool beats, and it all supports Big Brothers Big Sisters, which provides life-changing mentorships for children. And remember, it takes little to be a big.
Hey, it's Chris Plank, and I want to give a tip of the cap to my friends at Sooner Bowl. When you've been entertaining families in Norman for more than 40 years, you know you've been doing something right. At Sooner Bowl, it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned pro with amazing spin on your ball like me, or if you need bumpers to avoid going in the gutter each time. For decades, it's been where friends and families have met to enjoy their time. And don't forget Social Butterfly Catering and Escape Sooner for more family fun. I love it. You'll love it. Visit SoonerBowl.com for more information.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This is always a hilarious conversation when we get to talking about the blue chip ratio and such things. A listener, I think that same listener in New Jersey that sent the original text that fired everybody up, said, in one sentence you tell us stars don't matter and the 2026 class being ranked 20th isn't bad and we can win a natty. Then you say you need a 60% blue chip ratio to win a natty, yet our current class is 39% blue chip. You're destroying your own argument. Not remotely, dear listener, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, yes, so that kind of is the barometer. Again, every single national championship winning program in the 21st century has had a blue chip ratio of at least 60%. So that is the number that you want to stay north of with your entire roster. Also, never said stars don't matter, because they do. Nor did I say you can win a natty. I'm not talking national championship here. I don't think I've mentioned the words national championship to this point in the show, save for stating that you need a 60+% blue chip ratio to win a national championship historically and statistically. I'm not trying to tout Oklahoma as a national championship contender now or a year down the road or 3 years down the road or what. Like, time will tell. I could not have fathomed 2 years ago what this Oklahoma roster would look like today, what this Oklahoma coaching staff would look like today. There's so much that is fluid in college football. But as far as destroying my own argument, let me tell you this, Grayson. I'm going to ask you if you can find the common denominator between this group of players. Robert Spears-Jennings, Eli Bowen, Jaden Jackson, R. Mason Thomas, Jaden Ott, Cortland Guillory, and Reggie Powers, among others, but those are just some examples that came readily to mind.
Cortland Guillory kind of threw it off because none of those dudes are blue chippers, are they?
Close, in a sense. Those are all guys that weren't blue chippers until they played their senior season of high school.
That is true.
So, here is where I remind you, New Jersey listener, and everyone else,
they still got another year
that there
of high
are
school
4
football.
months left in the recruiting cycle, over which these guys are all going to play their final season of high school football, and rankings will change. And if they put good stuff on tape, their rankings will go up. Robert Spears-Jennings is like the quintessential example of this, man. Like, he was kind of a nobody nationally when Oklahoma added him back in July of, what was that, 21? July of 21? Gosh, that feels like forever ago now, but it was July of 21. He committed to Oklahoma. A bunch of other schools wanted him at wide receiver. Oklahoma wanted him to play safety. I'll give Alex Grinch credit there. He saw the vision. It's one of the few visions he's ever seen, but he saw that one. And Robert Spears-Jennings committed to Oklahoma as like I think on 24/7, he was a 3-star 85. So like a very, very mid-grade 3-star, well outside the national top 1,000. I think for quite a while he was the lowest ranked commit in Oklahoma's entire class. Then he played his senior year. And then he won the fan vote to be the last nominee for the Under Armour All-American game in Orlando. And then he went down and he won the fastest man competition at the Under Armour All-American week. And then he closed the cycle as a top 150 player in the country. So here I remind you that while Oklahoma may have a 39% blue chip class right this second in August of 2025, for one thing, that is certainly not going to remain the case. I don't know whether that ratio will go up or go down. It certainly will not remain stagnant from now until National Signing Day, and I have every reason to believe that it's going to go up. And, moreover, this class is not representative of your entire roster.
Bingo.
For instance, when we go back to the 2023 class, which I can't remember the exact number, the blue chip ratio in that class was stellar. Absolutely stellar. Sparkling blue chip ratio in that class. Well north of 60%. Grayson, and we went through the full class last month. I believe the number we arrived at is 16 of the 25 players that signed with Oklahoma in the 2023 class are no longer with the program. So, again, who knows how many of these guys are still on the roster at Oklahoma 2-3 years down the road. You would hope it's a majority of them, and you would hope that continuity is being established and these evals are money. But even if the evals suck, or even if some of them suck, also doesn't necessarily mean Oklahoma's roster is going to appear inferior, because this should be the year, right? This should be the year in 2025 where your 2023 cycle, as presumably rising juniors, kind of represent or are starting to represent a significant cog in your nucleus as a football team. And they're really not. Most of the big-name guys in that class are already gone. Some have stuck around. PJ, Peyton Bowen, Heath Ozida, Jacoby Johnson. But some of the absolute highest-rated signees in that class, Jackson Arnold, Jacquez Petaway, Caden Green, Lewis Carter, scattered to the winds. It's all a crapshoot, man.
It really is.
And that's what makes it fun. I think and there are people that find the fun in it, and there are people that choose to look at it from a glass half empty perspective.
Let me put it to the fan base this way. I was going through the text line during the 120-ish segment while y'all were doing two things. Roasting Cowherd and building up Brent Venables. If you believe that Brent Venables is the coach that you think he is, do you not think he's going to develop these people? Do you not think he's going to find a way to win with these people? I'm looking at a lot of y'all on the text line that have said, yeah, we're going to go 9-3. In a couple years, we're going to win a national championship. Y'all are more optimistic about that than I am. If you believe in Brent Venables, you're going to believe in him making excellent players out of these dudes that are so-called, diminutive 3-stars. That's what I got there.
I pissed off some listener in the 405 who said, if Texas had 2 commits that rated 1,000th, you would spend the majority of your show making fun of that. Now you're trying to justify it because it's OU? You're so full of crap. I challenge you to go find any show in the history of Locked In where we have spent more than 3 or 4 minutes talking about Texas's class. Spoiler alert, you won't, because that show doesn't exist. We talk about OU football recruiting here on this program. He also says, Parker, I find it funny that the same types of players that OU is getting this year are the same players that were dismissed and considered not to OU's level by yourself over the course of the last several years. Your excuses and justification for the players OU is recruiting and taking just sounds stupid. Just stop. Again, based on what evidence are you saying I've dismissed and considered such players not on OU's level? Do I make a regular habit of just perusing the 3-star ranks for players to slam on? Like, what are you even talking about? Baffling.
I got nothing.
It's baffling.
I am curious though, because that's 2 days in a row that people have recalled something in their mind that you have said, but haven't been able to present the receipts.
Yeah,
I am so curious for when the time comes when somebody gets mad at you and actually pulls up the receipts.
Outlaw Devil says, at least Parker does not use the term super blue chip like someone else I know.
Who does that?
Jeff Ketchum. Of orangebloods.com. Dan in Madison, Mississippi says, surely you guys have more text than to give these clowns airspace. Yes, I suppose so. Spartan Sooner says, Parker, you sure have a lot of fans who think you're an idiot, yet continue to listen. Haters gonna hate. I don't interpret it as hate directed at me. Listen, people's emotional status is wrapped up in the success and livelihood of the OU football program, and I understand that. And so when the program goes 6-7, 2 out of 3 years, and the program's sitting right now in the 2026 cycle with the number 20 class in the nation, I very well understand why there are folks on the text line that are expressing apprehensions. I would expect nothing less. But what I endeavor to do every single day on this show is to alleviate some of those concerns by providing logic and reason. Mongo says, people telling you to stop talking up OU's class are missing the easier option to stop listening. What a bunch of morons. Look, everybody that listens to this show is entitled to their opinion. We don't all have to share the same opinion. I would prefer for all of you to keep listening. I enjoy the conversations that we have every single day. I happen to think, looking at OU's 2026 recruiting cycle, that it's pretty chock full of players that are going to provide value to this institution. Now, I haven't gone as far as to call any of Oklahoma's commits in the 2026 cycle future superstars. I think the guy that you can most reliably project that expectation onto would be Jake Krell.
Yes.
Perhaps Bo Bentley as well. But I think when you... The longer you cover and the longer you follow recruiting, I think the less inclined you are to throw out sweeping declarations about what type of player a guy's going to be at the next level unless you really, truly, sincerely believe it. Like, I'm all in with Cortland Guillory, and I've expressed that. There are certain guys in the past that I've been all in with, like 2023 cycle. I was all in on PJ. Still am, man. That stock hasn't really appreciated yet, but I believe it will.
The book also is not closed on PJ yet.
No, it's not. It's not far from closed. I mean, it's far from closed. Like, this is a guy that's only played half his college football career to this point. He's got 2 years in front of him to make stuff shake. Spartan Sooner says North Carolina, who is 2 spots ahead of OU, seriously has 36 commits. Is that accurate, Spartan Sooner? Are you for real right now?
Well, also, let's keep this in mind, too. Who is the head coach of North Carolina?
The head coach, yeah, and yes, they do have 36 commits. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's nuts.
36 commits? Yeah, you know what that tells you? That tells you Bill Belichick is getting ready to flip this dang roster. That tells you Bill Belichick has like 20 guys on his roster right now that he is fully convinced can never play Power 4 football.
And by the way, Deion Sanders just did that a couple years ago, and he's appreciated the value of Colorado football. Pastor Andy from BA says, if your emotional status is truly wrapped up in the success or failure of OU football, then you probably need pastoral counseling. Call me. Which, by the way, was a take that I had probably 6-7 months ago, it does baffle me how the moods of grown people are dictated by 18 to 22-year-olds. But that's the reason we have a show. So, Pastor Andy, keep them going.
Tommy says, Parker, your comment about Ozida and Kirkland would be a great tweet. It would. Any of you that want to use it for a tweet, you're welcome to. I'm not going to. It risks bringing negative attention to a guy that I got to know and covered in Peyton Kirkland. So I'm not going to be the one to send out that tweet. But if anyone else wants to, I'll amplify it. I'm not beneath that. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet Text line, we have one final segment of Locked In on the other side. We'll hit more of your texts and hit some more OU recruiting storylines on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
The Norman Chamber of Commerce encourages you to shop small this summer. At Heyday, a day of fun awaits the whole family. Laser tag, mini golf, ropes courses, bowling, and an exclusive 21 and up area. And now Hey Pickle Pickle is the spot in Norman for pickleball, whether you are new or a pro. Heyday and Hey Pickle Pickle pack a ton of fun. Make a splash at Signature Pool and Patio, Norman's premier swimming pool service, cleaning, patio, spa, and pool accessory destination. Get your patio essentials, ledge loungers, pool floats, umbrellas, pool toys, grill necessities, and so much more. Plus, stay local and get all your bases covered at Play It Again Sports. Get new and quality used gear right here in Norman. Buy, sell, or trade new and used sports equipment, including baseball, softball, football, tennis, soccer, and more. Remember, shopping small this summer can make a big impact.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Sidelined by injury, illness, surgery? Valor Physical Therapy and H2 Health Company can help. A 10-time Community Choice Award winner, let our skilled therapists create a rehabilitation program individualized just for you. Whether it's sports or the activities of life, let Valor get you back in the game. Start now at valorpt.com or call 405-609-3637. No referral needed. Mention the Ref and get a free t-shirt at your first appointment.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Support United Way of Norman and local businesses by Shopping United on September 10th. Shop United is a powerful way to bring our community together. On this day, local businesses across Norman will donate a portion of their sales to United Way of Norman, supporting vital programs in our community. Shop with a purpose on September 10th at such businesses as Cayman's, Christmas Expression, Cadoodles, Mitchell's Jewelry, Norman Stamp and Seal, Sooner Bowling, and Wonder House Design and Consign, plus many others. Check out the United Way of Norman on Facebook or their website for a complete list of participating businesses.
Hey, this is OEC Fiber. Are you tired of slow internet? With our gig speed fiber, your whole household can stream, game, and work at the same time without buffering. OEC Fiber gives you reliable speeds up to a full gig and a friendly local support team in Oklahoma. Ready to plug in speed you can count on? Visit oecfiber.com or tap your screen now. That's OEC Fiber. Fast, local, and trustworthy.
Oh, man, the text line is in rare form, which is great because football season is almost here. We got to have the text line in peak shape once the season rolls around. Some of y'all make me laugh, man.
Are we going to read that text?
Oh,
or
no. That text? No. There was a listener who questioned my masculinity in very graphic fashion. Grayson and I were both having a good laugh at that one. But I was more laughing at the one from Blue Whale Sooner because he thought he was texting the other station.
Mm-hmm.
He instead was texting us. And so he sent, like, rapid fire a series of 3 or 4 texts. And I quickly realized, oh, these aren't intended for us. And so I texted him back, and I was like, are you sure you're texting the right station here, man? And he followed up and said, disregard. I'm back over here now. 5 minutes of the other station was too much. Steel man, old man moment.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Jacob Curry finally decommitted from Northwestern, which is something we've been waiting on for a little while now. The 3-star linebacker out of St. Augustine, Florida. Nice High School, alma mater of one Tim Tebow. Which Tebow was class of 2006. So 2 decades later, Jacob Curry is the big-ticket item down at Nice. He had been committed to Northwestern since May, backed off that commitment earlier this week, and he is going to take his official visit to the University of Oklahoma next month. Now, it had originally been in the plans for him to come to the Michigan game. However, he's now going to OV the same weekend as Braden Allen, the 3-star Tulane commit that Oklahoma will be hosting. They're both going to be on campus for the Auburn game. A lot of very significant storylines going into that Auburn game. Perhaps not as much so as Michigan, but we were talking about past recruits on which we've been right, wrong, and jury's still out. Dan and Madison reminded me I was all in on Javonte Barnes. Still am, man. Still am. Still clinging to that one. I hope this is the year where he gives himself a shot at the NFL because I think he's more than capable of it. But Justin, formerly Yoda, on the text line brought up Jackson Arnold was a god on this station. He was, man. Everybody, not just locally but nationally, was sold on Jackson Arnold being the next great thing. National Gatorade Player of the Year. He had, 60 total touchdowns or something along those lines his senior year at Denton Guyer High? And, man, yeah, look, I'll own it. Looks for all the world like I was wrong about Jackson Arnold. And a lot of people seem to have been wrong about Jackson Arnold. But even so, Jackson Arnold is somebody that still has 2 years ahead of him to prove everybody that bailed on him wrong. That feels like an absolute must-win for so many reasons when Auburn comes to town, in no small part because the beating that you're going to take amongst the national media if Jackson Arnold comes back to Norman and defeats Oklahoma, you're not going to want to be around for that.
No.
You're just going to have to turn off Sirius XM. You're going to have to turn off network television. You're just going to have to shut yourself out from the national media for the week that follows. It's not going to be fun. Oliver in Tulsa, good point. Good point. Tebow only played sports for Nice. He was homeschooled.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and me being homeschooled, every parent that homeschools their child wants their kid to be like Tim Tebow.
I think that, so they changed that while Tebow was in high school or right after he graduated. I think it's called the Tebow rule in Florida.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not mistaken. Like, they disallowed, he was grandfathered in, but they disallowed participation in high school sports for homeschoolers that don't attend the school that they represent.
Mm-hmm.
Outlaw Devil says, imagine if J.A. stayed and learned from Arbuckle. That discourse is going to be particularly intriguing a year or two down the line. Once we know what the final trajectory of Jackson Arnold's collegiate career takes, but also not only John Mateer, but Bo Bentley. We've talked about the similarities on tape between high school Jackson Arnold and high school Bo Bentley. Bo Bentley, in many ways, feels like a virtual carbon copy of Jackson Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some folks that don't like to hear those comparisons for obvious reasons. Because they're thinking, oh no, what if Bo Bentley turns out to be the same guy, mentally especially, that Jackson Arnold proved to be at Oklahoma? But what if it's exactly the opposite? Like, what if Bo Bentley has a very successful collegiate career? And based on those similarities, you can't help but wonder 5 years down the road, does Jackson Arnold's college career play out differently if he has the chance to get coached by Ben Arbuckle in that system in Oklahoma.
And that's the thing why you can't compare Bo Bentley to Jackson Arnold in terms of how their college careers are going to end up. Because the system and the situation that Bo Bentley is going to arrive in Norman is a far cry from what was going on in Jackson Arnold's lone season as a starter here. They're two very different things. Bo Bentley's going to have a hell of a lot more support than Jackson Arnold ever had. But I think we're leaving out another factor in this conversation, too. Ben Arbuckle himself. Because this dude hasn't proven that he can call plays at the SEC. This dude hasn't proven yet that he can coordinate an offense that plays SEC-style ball. We don't know that yet. He's still got to prove that, too, before we start talking about, well, what if Jackson Arnold was coached by Ben Arbuckle? We don't know. We think. We project, by the way, like everybody's doing with Arch Manning, we project that, but we don't know it yet.
Sooner Steven points out, even more comparisons for Bo. 24/7 says he reminds them of John Mateer. Yep. Those are the two most popular comparisons, and I've solicited comps from a lot of peers in the industry, and virtually the only two names that get thrown out are Jackson Arnold, John Mateer. That's who Bo Bentley reminds people of. Jackson Arnold to some, John Mateer to others. Outlaw Devil projecting Deuce Knight will be QB1 for Auburn by the OU game.
Interesting.
We'll all get the chance to watch Jackson Arnold's first start in an Auburn uniform on Friday night.
Well, not all of us that have YouTube TV, if they don't.
Oh, is that one of the games that's caught up in the
Yeah, it's on Fox.
carriage fiasco?
Yeah, it's on Fox.
Oh. Brutal, man. But that's only for people that have YouTube TV, right? So, like, if I have Hulu Live TV, I'm going to be able to watch the game?
Yeah, I think you'll be good.
Okay.
Crack streams for some of us.
I'm sorry, crack streams?
Have you never heard of crack streams? Never heard of crack streams, Stream East, none of that?
I have no idea what direction this conversation is going.
No. No, whatever you think is about to happen is not going to happen.
Crack streams sounds tawdry.
How have you
I don't know if I like the sound of crack streams.
How have you never heard of this? They're like the little streaming websites that you can watch games on if you don't have cable. They're like the illegal streaming website.
So that's why it's called crack streams.
Well, I mean, there's a one called Sports Surge and Stream East. They're not all have drug innuendo. How have you
drug or other innuendos?
Okay, wow, I wasn't thinking of that one.
Which one?
Moving on.
Doug in Norman says, I'm sure you watched on TV as St. Augustine was throttled by Mater Dei last week. Jacob Curry did look okay on the field, however. Well, okay, Doug, so if you were watching the Mater Dei game last week, yes, they were playing St. Augustine. Jacob Curry was not on the field for St. Augustine, though, because he goes to Nice High School. Nice High School did win their opener last week. And interestingly enough, this Friday, Jacob Curry gets to go toe-to-toe, or it might be Saturday. It's either Friday or Saturday. He gets to go toe-to-toe with OU commit Brian Harris, who's now at Creekside High School in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's right.
If you can find a way to if you can locate a crack stream for that game, that might be worth tuning into.
There's
two potential future Sooners.
There's actually – that's hilarious, by the way. There's actually people here on the text line that know what crack streams is. Greg from Lawton says, hell yeah, Grayson, crack streams got it going on. Come on, Parker. I use it and I'm old.
I've never heard of crack streams in my life.
How have you never heard? 405 listener says crack streams is the only way I can watch the Astros or any MLB team play.
See, MLB's blackout restrictions, that's just so whack.
Are the dumbest things ever.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma, by the way, is the worst place to live when it comes to MLB blackouts because there's like 5 teams blacked out.
Mm-hmm. Some positivity from a 918 listener. I appreciate this. You guys are the best. Outstanding in being kind and gentle, trying to educate the Sooner Nation. After all, we are 50th in education. LOL. Listen, I don't care what the metrics say. I think y'all are very intelligent folk. And I appreciate that text in particular because that's exactly what we tried. We're not trying to fight. We're not trying to bicker. We're just doing our best to keep you informed and keep the discourse going in diplomatic, if occasionally somewhat abrasive fashion. May venture into that territory time and again.
Yeah.
A 405 listener says, I think they were playing St. Thomas Aquinas, not St. Augustine. Yes, it was modern day in St. Thomas Aquinas, which you would have seen if you were watching that game. You would have seen Daniel Norman.
Daniel Norman,
yes, yeah. Oklahoma's fine defensive end commit. A verified source followed up and said, I can without a doubt say that Parker and I have disagreed on a prospect. Yes, indeed. That is factual. A verified source is one of the few listeners with access to the super secret Textoso line, i.e. my personal phone number. And he says, I can without a doubt say that Parker and I have disagreed on a prospect, but he's always open and professional about why he feels a certain way. He never just talks out his butt about a player, but provides real reasons he may not be a fan of. There's one of them right now that Oklahoma is pursuing. Yeah, I'm not ready to dig into that conversation on the air yet, but we will at some point, no doubt.
A texter in the 405 says, have you idiots never heard of Antenna TV? Yes, I have. That does not work at my apartment.
Antenna TV doesn't work a lot of places. Be a lot more convenient if it did, but
agreed,
it doesn't.
I have tried multiple.
Grew up with an antenna in the basement of our house.
So did I.
And it was always a toss-up whether you were going to get a clear signal to watch the NFL on CBS. All right, folks, we're done on this Wednesday. This has been Locked In here on The Ref. Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas up next with The Rush.